In this segment on leadership, I want to be looking at, I think, a common element or common question in terms of leadership. How do I know that this is poor leadership? By the leader themselves and by observers. I think this is critical, and I'm not going to be exhaustive because the list is very long. This will also be part of what I am working on in my second leadership book, besides the one that I've already published, the Leadership Journey Handbook. But these signs are critical. Sign number one of a poor leader is the one that plays the blame game. When something goes wrong, instead of fixing the problem and looking at what caused the problem and how it can be avoided in future, a leader who has a sense of insecurity tends to pass the blame on to other people. Leaders fix problems, they look for solutions to problems, and that is a sign of an effective leader. Number two, leaders who do not trust the people that they've delegated work to tend to micromeasure and also micromanage. I call that a problem in the third world. I'm not so sure whether my perception in that regard is best, but I find this, because I've done a lot of work more in Africa than anywhere else, but I find that a very serious problem in the third world environment where people don't trust each other, where you delegate a responsibility and the next minute you are checking how far they have gone, and after a day, when you have set a deadline, when you want the work, you are busy, checking and overlooking the work that the person is doing. It disempowers, it discourages, and does not create initiative. It doesn't build other leaders, so to speak. And so micromanaging and micromeasuring work is a sign of poor leadership. Another sign is where a leader has made a mistake and they act infallible. They want to create an impression to people that they don't make a mistake. That is a very poor leadership approach. When we all make mistakes, when we have made mistakes, let us be open about the fact that we have made a mistake. And when we do that, we create an environment in the organization we are leading that it is okay to make mistakes, but we don't have to keep making mistakes. We can learn from the mistakes and avoid the mistakes in future. Another sign of a bad leadership is one who always corrects. You never look at the positive side of things. You always think that people make mistakes all the time and they must be supervised all the way through. When we are always looking for corrections to make, then we suffer from poor leadership. Let me mention this as I end this short presentation. One study points to the fact that 50 to 60% of people do not leave the organization that they are working for, but they run away from the leader. And if you read around, you might come across this saying that people join an organization, but they leave a leader. It is very critical that we treat our people very well, so that at the end of the day, they are able to produce and meet the goals of the organization. Another study by Stahl actually says that 3 out of 4 employees think the most stressful part of a job is their leader. And another study as well also says 76% of employees blame their leader for a toxic environment. So when we exercise poor leadership, the disadvantages of so doing are so numerous we can't even finish them. Let's remember, a lot of people leave not the organization, but they leave the leader. Continue to develop yourselves into becoming poor leaders, into becoming effective leaders who will avoid the poor signs of leadership that I have alluded to.